Disney Plus recently released the Loki series, which has become one of the biggest MCU series of all times and in no time has gained the support and loyalty of its audience. With Loki's third episode now streaming on Disney Plus, we are much more invested in the series than ever. The episode revealed where the God of Mischief ended up after ditching the Time Variance Authority and pursuing the female variant through a time portal. This MCU show occurs after 2012 Loki fled captivity in Avengers Endgame. Without any further ado, let's jump into the details and break down this entire episode for you. Spoilers ahead. But, first, like this video and subscribe to our channel. Also hit the bell icon so you do not miss out on any latest videos. The episode begins with peppy music, and a visual of Lady Loki unwinding with Hunter over frozen margaritas. It all looks like a normal girls' night out as they are discussing brain freezes, but is it one? Lady Loki further goes on to ask Hunter the whereabouts of the Timekeepers. After all, this was all an illusion, as this is how she interrogated Hunter. So, by this time Lady Loki has bombed the sacred timeline with TVA reset charges which she has been stealing all along. These charges created countless branches and was successfully undoing the timeline cop's work. She goes on to reveal to her male counterpart that her plot was never about him, which intrigued him enough to abandon TVA and his pal Mobius, in order to follow her. Not that Mobius will have much time to get bored, now that the agency has gone into high alert as a result of Lady Loki's attack. As we go on with the episode, we see Lady Loki disses her male counterpart for calling her Loki. Apparently, she has left that identity behind and prefers being called Sylvie, making it easier to differentiate between the two. However, it also looks like a reference to the comic character Sylvie Lushton, who goes on to become the second version of Asgardian god Enchantress after Loki gives her his powers. In this episode, Loki interrupts her plan to reach the Timekeepers, which she had been working on for years. Also, he teleports her and himself to the moon Lamentis 1 in 2077, an apocalypse as Sylvie had pre-programmed into her TemPad so she could escape the TVA. We still do not get to learn much about Sylvie except the fact that she stepped off the sacred timeline much early in life and had a much different experience in comparison to the male Loki. What it looks like is she wasn't adopted by Odin after all. As a result, she did not share the same bond with Loki's adopted mother Frigga. She also learned of her frost giant heritage in a different way. It is further revealed that they're both bisexual, based on a question that Sylvie asks about Loki's romances. Must have been some would-be princesses or perhaps another prince? To which he replies, a bit of both. I suspect the same as you. Apparently, director Kate Herron had revealed that highlighting the God of Mischief's sexuality was one of her main objectives when she decided to get involved with the show. Now let's talk about the truth bomb Sylvie dropped about the TVA. She reveals that the TVA workers are indeed all variants which they have no idea about. It all makes sense, doesn't it? That the Timekeepers have recruited people who once stepped off the sacred timeline but obviously wiped their memories to some extent. Further in the episode, we see Loki unwinding and dancing to some Asgardian songs, leaving his disguise aside. Of course, that does not end well, and after a small fight he gets thrown out of the train and Lady Loki follows. As apocalyptic doom looms closer, the two have a conversation about trust, where she reveals how she can trick TVA using fantasy and illusion. At the very beginning of the episode, we see Sylvie enchanting Hunter C20 using her powers. By using the TVA workers' love of margaritas, she manipulates her into giving up the Timekeepers' location, which proves that some fragments of their past lives still remain. Similarly, Mobius' passion for jet skis and his reference to the early 90s is possibly a remnant of his old self too. Perhaps he jet skied off the sacred timeline and into the TVA's rules. The question here is, how will the TVA react to this? We suppose it might vary, but we are hopeful that this time at least Mobius will rebel against the Timekeepers. The episode ends with Sylvie and Loki apparently stuck in the apocalypse. The moon Lamentis 1 in 2077 is about to be wiped out by a planet that is falling, and the Ark they plan to hijack and escape on has been destroyed. So, are they doomed? Their original plan was to recharge the TemPad on the Ark and jump off to a different point in time, using it, but the device breaks when Loki gets thrown off the train. Or was it his plan all along? Given his fondness for trickery, it's quite possible that the TemPad is still functioning or maybe is fixable. Also, the chances of Mobius tracking them down is quite high too. He is kind of the will save you in the last minute guy. This particular episode sort of feels like a side mission that does not apparently improve the overall storyline. Nonetheless, the action throughout the episode is quite exhilarating. There are a whole set of implications that are yet to be explored, including TVA's real agenda and who's actually behind this all. Though the absence of Agent Mobius was pretty evident, this was one good episode that might not have the same sense of insistence as the previous two but is somewhat impactful in its many reveals. This episode 2 leaves us on a cliffhanger, as our anti-heroes are left stranded on the Doom Lamentus without any way to head out. And this brings us to the very end of our video. Comment down below and let us know if you enjoyed this review. Also, do not forget to subscribe to our channel, so that you don't miss out on any of our videos.